Well, hey everybody, welcome to the bass module section. So the next thing I'd like to cover is a situation in which maybe your worship leader has asked you to play bass for the day. Sometimes our bass players aren't available and we need to fill in for them. So it's important that we have an option within Mainstage to do an effective job of covering multiple songs with different genres using different bass sounds. So what I'm going to do next is kind of walk you through the bass module that we have that you can use to adjust as necessary the bass sounds that you're looking for. So the first thing I want to do is cover the very first fader. This is our sub bass fader. So what I'd like to do just first is just play a little bit of what that sub bass sound sounds like. So to me, that's a sound that's very warm. It's very thick. It's one of those sounds that when you hear it out of a sub, it's just going to fill the room. It almost, you feel it more than you hear it oftentimes. And so that sub bass is pretty characteristic of a lot of worship songs. So just keep in mind that that is kind of, in my mind, just the bass patch that is the most effective when it comes to covering various songs in worship. So the next sound that I want to go over is our saw bass. So I'm going to pull this one up. Now this one, it's going to be a little bit more bright, and we can kind of play with it a bit just to get some different sounds, a little bit more warmer sounds. So the way I'm going to do that is playing with the synth tone up at the top right here that I'm moving around. This will pull in and out frequency. So we're going to start it very, very bright, and then we'll bring it a little bit darker. All right, so that's just a real gritty saw bass. Our next bass that we're going to look at is the wide bass. And this particular bass, think of it almost like a chorus bass where it's got many different voices all put together. So it sounds a little bit wider, fits the stereo spectrum a little bit broader. And really this bass is really when we want that real fat sound. All right, let's listen to this one. All right, so those are our first three basses. So these first three basses, they're what I call sustained basses, right? From the moment you hit the key all the way till when you let it go, it's sustaining sound. So the next thing we're going to look at are some time-based basses. These are basses that when you hold down the key, there's actually going to be some sound that does not sustain all the way through. So this first one is an attack bass. And the reason why we call it attack bass is because as soon as you hit the key, it has a real hard attack, and then it immediately backs away. So it almost just sounds like a real sharp tone to the bottom end. So let's listen to that one. All right, so the attack bass really just designed to have a single attack. Our next bass is going to be the eighth note bass. So the next two basses are actually in time, meaning that they follow a rhythm. So the eighth note bass is going to be dependent on the tempo. I'm going to show you at the end of this tutorial how we can adjust the tempo. But for now, let's just listen to what it sounds like. All right, so that's the eighth note bass. Now let's listen to the 16th bass. All right, so that one has some rhythm to it. One more feature that I want to show you about this one is the sidechain function. So when you click on the middle button next to the fader that says sidechain, what this is going to do is it's going to basically take the bass sound and almost like pull the volume up, pull the volume down, pull the volume up, pull the volume down in time. And this is an effect you'll often hear on different songs. So let's listen to what that sounds like. Okay. So as you can tell, it's pulling in, pulling out. When you listen to different worship songs, you might hear that. So that's one way that you can definitely mirror that sound. Okay, so now what I want to do is just kind of show you what would it sound like if we had multiple basses pulled up at once. So let's pull up our 16th bass. We'll add the sub bass, and how about the wide bass? What does all of this together sound like? Okay, so that's just an example of how you can take multiple bass sounds, pull them together, make something a little bit different, or you can use each bass sound individually. So the last thing that I want to show you is how do we change the tempo if a bass needs to be altered in tempo. So let's go ahead and look at that. So what we're going to do is go up to main stage. We're going to go to, oh gosh, what is it? We're going to go to show inspectors. That's what we're thinking of. Okay, so show inspectors. Let's go to the actual bass patch itself. All right, and so now what you're going to see is this bottom section here, and there's something that says attributes. So when you click on attributes, you can actually change the tempo to whatever that song might be in. So let's say that song is 75 beats per minute, hit 75, and now when we hear the bass, it sounds like this. Or like this. All right, so that's how you change the tempo, that's how you mix bass sounds, and that's how you become a bass player at the Well Community Church.